Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is the Culture Confederacy. It's Sunday night, and here I am once again smoking my corncob pipe, enjoying my this and that blend, drinking my breakfast blend coffee, reflecting on the issues of the day. Let me take a sip of my coffee now. And just when you thought it couldn't get any crazier, any stupider with the woke crowd, it's gotten that much stupider and that much crazier. Generation Z, good old Generation Z, wants to cancel the Broadway show Grease. The Broadway show, the movie. And I have an article here from the Daily Telegraph. This is by Angela Millard. This came out today, November 20th. Actually, I believe that was yesterday. I think is today the 21st? I'm getting lost with my days here. I do the overnights on the weekend, so I'm always a day behind when I go into work. But at any rate, this came out November 20th, and the title of the article, Angela Millard, Gen Z canceling musical Grease is disappointing. And here's the subheadline. The Z in Gen Z clearly stands for zero imagination because, as well as being unnecessarily woke, canceling the musical Grease is intellectually disappointing, Angela Millard writes. And she starts out with a question. By the way, you like the video or the series? Please click that like button, subscribe. Hit me up on Instagram at hashtag Jason Composes. You can leave comments below. Now you can reach me at Twitter, Culture Confederacy at Twitter. So she starts this way. A multiple choice question for the students at two Perth high schools who canceled their co-production of the musical Grease. At the end of the movie, which character sings You Better Shape Up, Into My Heart I Must Be True? Is it A, Danny, B, Sandy, C, Rizzio, or D, Kenickie? We can only assume the students from Presbyterian Ladies College and Scotch College have not actually watched to the end of the movie because they would know that the answer is Sandy, who, of course, ditches her simpering girl-next-door vibe and struts out with attitude. Quote, I'm not putting up with this, Olivia Newton-John's character effectively says to John Travolta's Danny. But such an entertaining take on female empowerment, notable for a film released in 1978 and set in the 1950s, is not sufficient for the year 7 to 10 students who declared it sexist, offensive, and anti-feminist. And so we have yet another instance when the pubescent self-appointed proprietors of cancel culture have slashed a big red cross through a piece of popular entertainment they deem inappropriate. Despite raising two members of Gen Z, it's increasingly clear the Z stands for zero imagination because, as well as being unnecessarily woke, Grease is a rom-com from another era, not a contemporary social commentary. Their vetoing of the musical is intellectually disappointing. Why didn't they rewrite it to represent more progressive social mores? Could they have given it a post-hashtag MeToo interpretation focusing on diversity and inclusion? Or swap the male and female roles as the Sydney Theatre Company did recently, casting a woman in a shape-shifting interpretation of Oscar Wilde's The Picture of Dorian Gray? As an English literature graduate, I'm incensed by the far-reaching assault on the creative industries by people who have contributed nothing except mealy-mouthed disdain for works they both fail to understand or contextualize. Thank you. They're killing off storytelling with their joyless, opprobrium, that's O-P-P-R-O-B-R-I-U-M, hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, question independent and interpretive thought. This is important. This is key. The point of art is to challenge, disrupt, question, and amuse. Yet the cancel culture cohort are clearly too fragile to flex their imaginations or consider an open-minded exploration of the times and contexts which produce these stories. Worse, institutions, individuals, and art platforms whose very existence is predicated on freedom of expression are cowering in the face of the hysteria. And you thought I was going to stop with Confederate statues, and I've said many, many times before, they were censoring the music of Shostakovich in Russia. So remember what happened at that church in South Carolina? What was that idiot's name? Dylan Roof? Somehow they connected the Confederate battle flag to Dylan Roof. But the Confederacy died 150, 160 years ago. Yes, there was a picture of this idiot holding the Confederate battle flag, but he doesn't even know or didn't know what the meaning of the Confederate battle flag actually is. I do because I've researched and I studied. Oh yeah, well the South was for slavery. Well, at the same time, slavery was still legally in the North. Thank you very much. And you had banks in the North that were investing in southern plantations in 1861. In fact, I'm going to share that article with you because I found a really neat article from the BBC. Really interesting. Talks about slavery in Wall Street. You're going to be surprised at some of the information in that article. So I'm going to work on that video here this week. You know you've reached peak woke when Shakespeare is being called out for, quote, white supremacy, misogyny, racism, and classism. As one teacher declared, she taught Romeo and Juliet through the lens of adolescent brain development with a side of toxic masculinity. Forgive me, I'm trying to read this with not very good lighting, and I'm still getting used to, I know after doing so many videos with my computer, my new computer, my laptop, I'm still getting used to how to read the screen and do these videos, so thanks for bearing with me. By the way, I don't know if you know this or not, but Tchaikovsky actually wrote 2 versions of his overture to Romeo and Juliet. Give you a little teaser here, spoiler alert. The opening of the first version is entirely different from what we know today. Go check out the very first try at Romeo and Juliet by Tchaikovsky. His first draft, so to speak. Really neat piece. And you can tell where he's trying to tinker around with these different themes. And on that disc, you also have his rarely performed Ode to Joy, which some people have called a work of madness. She did invite her students to appreciate talking about this teacher who was teaching Romeo and Juliet through the lens of adolescent brain development. I love this. Adolescent brain development with a side of toxic masculinity. There, I got it right. So she did invite her students to appreciate the genius of Shakespeare's ambiotic pentameter and his deftness in playing with identity in the 1600s when women didn't act and men played their roles. 100% true. At that time, men played women roles on stage. And in the music world, you had people called castratas. Sadly, it's living authors and playwrights who are tiptoeing around these cultural warriors to avoid a Twitter pileup. Well, I say bring it on. I'm not afraid of Twitter. I'm not afraid of YouTube. I'm not afraid of Google. Hear that, YouTube? Hear that, Google? Hear that, Twitter? I'm not afraid of you. And yes, I support Kyle Rittenhouse 150% because he acted in self-defense. We have the evidence that shows that he acted in self-defense, that he was being chased, he was being attacked. And people out there are trying to compare the Kyle Rittenhouse case to this Crystal Kizer case. What you idiots in the BLM Antifa movement, USJW types, don't understand is that these are 2 separate cases. Kyle Rittenhouse was being chased and attacked by the mob. That's why he fired his weapon. You have a constitutional right to defend yourself. In fact, that is the basis of common law, self-defense. But this Crystal Kizer case, I got to talk about this for a second. This Crystal Kizer case, she claims that she was pinned down at the time. She was being used and abused by this guy, last name Voller. I forget his full name, but last name Voller. And she shot him twice, I believe, in the head. But she made her mistake. So I'll give her self-defense if she was being pinned down and she had to shoot in self-defense in that case. But she made her mistake by setting his house on fire and taking his car. What she should have done is lied about that and said that a candle fell over in the middle of a struggle, lit the house on fire, and then he tried to make it out of the house by chasing her, and she got in his car and ran away. Got away. That's what she should have done. It says here, British author Sebastian Faulks, who wrote Birdsong last month, and that last name, by the way, is Faulks, confessed that he will no longer physically describe female characters in his novels after being criticized for doing so. Never mind that we get our visual cues from such descriptions, or that Leo Tolstoy's canon will be canceled for the crime of description. Faulks was desperate not to offend. Booker Prize winner Bernardine Evaristo, I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly, it's Evaristo, called such censoring ridiculous, while author and comedian Dawn French was appalled. Quote, the minute we start to police people's imaginations, we go down a very nasty old route. I have the right to write anybody or anything I like, she said. Similar happened here when the online journal Verity Lay was forced to close after it ran a piece exploring the power imbalance in a relationship between a white Australian male and a Filipino woman. Critics unionized social media, bludgeoning the publication and its editor with a brutality far worse than the alleged transgression. In the technological age, creative works can be deplatformed in an instant. Last year, HBO removed Gone with the Wind from its streaming service after it was declared racist. The film later re-uploaded, but with an introduction offering context on slavery because viewers clearly can't think for themselves. And I guarantee you, nobody in the SJW, BLM, Antifa movement, Gen Z have actually sat down and watched Gone with the Wind. I have. It's not a story about slavery. It takes place during the Civil War. It was written, the novel was written by a woman, Margaret Mitchell. She had faced some type of injury or injured her leg or something, and she didn't know what to do, so she sat down and she wrote this novel, a romance novel. It's basically a love story that's set against the backdrop of the Civil War. That's what it's really about. She falls in love with this playboy, Rhett Butler, Don Juan type. Talks about their stormy relationship. She loses everything in the Civil War and she swears she's going to rise to the top. So that is a story about female empowerment. Gone with the Wind. Go back and check out that film if you don't believe me. And to hell with these people who think that who are they to tell us what we can and can't watch? Who are they to decide what gets canceled and what doesn't? They're not God. So, to them. Shooting the storytellers in this way is not an empowered expose of problematic ideas, but a cowardly act of self-lobotomy. The creative arts offer us an opportunity to consider and expand, and yet in the hands of cultural quivers, they're only ever a word or a brushstroke away from castigation. Fortunately, there's early signs of a woke-lash from institutions that won't cower to this nonsense. When a staff at a publisher, Hachette, threatened to down tools because they regarded J.K. Rowling as a toxic transphobe for a tweet mocking people who menstruate instead of women, management pushed back, saying they couldn't refuse to work on a book because they disagree with the author's views. Likewise, the head of news at BBC, who told LGBTQ staff last week that while they may hear things they don't like, they'll have to get used to it. Right on! It's about damn time. These are the stories we tell, she told them. We can't walk away from the conversation. If only the Perth school kids had been similarly directed. So go check out this article. It is by Angela Millard from the Daily Telegraph. This is all about the cancellation of the Broadway show, the movie Grease. And you got to go rent this film if you've never seen Grease. I'm going to tell you another great movie. If you've never seen this, Diner. You've got to rent Diner. For all you guys out there, you've got to go rent this movie. But women will love this movie too. It's a great film, Diner. So definitely, if you don't know what to do Sunday night, watch Grease and then watch Diner. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please click that like button, subscribe, hit me up on Instagram at #JasonComposes. Leave comments below. Now you can reach me at Twitter, Culture Confederacy Twitter. This is the Culture Confederacy saying peace out, stay safe, everybody. God bless this great country, and I'll catch you next time.